David is a kind of, if you don't know him, he's a kind of icon of the digital marketing agency in Czech Republic. He built the biggest SEM agency in the country called H1. He ran it very successfully, and I think he can share the experience with you, growing something from the 1-2 people in the room to a biggest SEM agency. And more importantly even that, he sold it to WPP, to Group M, and helped the transition of the SEM agency into big media world. And then, because he really is also a man of the true work skills, he lives on the farm, and the most important for him are, next to the family, and of course Google, are horses. He breeds special horses, and he can talk about it hours. But then he saw also the life-work balance, and that's, I think, why we were able to charm him and persuade him to come to our team. And he's the head of performance of the Google Prague office. So thank you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vanda, for this warm welcome. I'm probably the only person here who has had the experience with this event, like from both angles. Last year in Budapest and the year before in Warsaw, I was sitting at Get's panel discussion, really challenging Google what he should do better. And then I resigned, actually. I exited in the terms of selling the company, and I decided to join Google. So for me, it was a big change, and I'm very glad that I can be here at this very moment. So speaking about changes, who of you really likes changes? Is it something that inspires you, that drives you, or is it something that frightens you and scares you? And I think that we are living in a very thrilling times of changes, and one of those biggest changes that I'm seeing in the advertising industry is media buying, especially display media buying. And you may remember the times, I've been at this industry for 15 years, and if you are there so long as I am, you may remember the times where there were so many people saying that those display ads, those banners are dead. That because the search has appeared, those beautiful cost per click, those beautiful performance and measurement, the display advertising was almost dead because of this poor view rate, because of this poor click-through rate, because of this poor actual visibility, because of its price and pricing models. And I think that we're now living in a thrilling age of really a true rebirth of the display ecosystem, of the display ads, media buying. And I'm really keen that I can live in this industry, I can work in this industry that is really growing and that is going through such a dramatic changes. And unsurprisingly, in the center of our minds are consumers. And I won't repeat those beautiful and compelling stories that have been mentioned here throughout the day, how the consumers has changed. And I just would like to emphasize the 3 facts that are really influencing the change of the display ecosystem, of the display media buying approach that we are facing right now. So, as it was mentioned before, the consumers are always connected. There are thousands of moments where the brand can communicate and cast the message to the audience, because those people are always online, they're using their smartphones, they're also watching TV, of course, but those dramatic changes that we see in online consumption is massive. So it's about those moments when you can target your communication to this audience very efficiently and create some kind of tailored experience which can be very efficient and which can be very compelling. Of course, people are interested. And as it was said by David a couple of minutes ago, that permission marketing, that the people are interested in something and they will let you speak to them, I mean you as advertisers or agencies, those people are there. And if you are able to tailor your communication to those people the way they want to hear at the very precise moment, this is something that really works. This is something that really attracts the interest of modern advertisers. And of course, people want to be engaged. I remember those times when those banners, like 368 times 60 pixels, was everywhere. This was boring. They were not moving, or they were moving like hell. And no creativity, nothing like that. So I think now with those options that you can have, with those engagement ads, and with those ads that really can communicate with the person, with the people, the way they want to be treated, with the really tailored experience, is something that really engages those people and that really drives their awareness, drives their consideration, and in the end, drives their actions and sales. So this is something that has really changed, and who is in this industry for such a long time as I am has noticed. But what hasn't changed is that we are seeing consumer and customer journeys, which usually always start with an inspiration. So something in a situation where you have to build awareness, or if you prefer Avinash Kaushik's framework, See, Think, Do, Care, something where the people want to see what you do and what you offer, but though they don't have any interest to buy at this very moment. And usually it ends with an action. So this is something that has stayed. We are there, and we have to understand the people. There are somewhere between the inspiration and an action, and we have to tailor our messages to these people at this very moment. What has dramatically changed is the way how the media are bought. I remember those times when those media buyers were meeting at those secret meetings, offering some kind of media for some kind of price, with some kind of kickbacks, and with some kind of Christmas gifts, and so on. Nothing really sophisticated, more or less like a trading discussion, more or less what my German friend says, schmutzig. And it has changed. It has changed mainly thanks to data and technology. Now it's not about silly Microsoft Excel sheets having multiple rows for media plans, where each media is at each row stating stupid impressions and stupid prices for those impressions. Now it's about the ability to control the universe. Now it's about the ability to sit in front of the computer and to be able to target any single impression that is available, and is using any single data source that is available, and to be able to target those people that are having those moments that you would like to target across all channels, across all screens, and of course, across all devices. So this is something where the technology really helps. So we call it programmatic. And there are many definitions how the programmatic means, and we might interchange the word programmatic with RTB, for example. But I have a strong belief that programmatic is something when I'm using technology and I'm combining this technology with audience signals, and I automatically, instantly buy a scalable campaign at scalable inventory to be able to reach the right audience at the right time with the right message at the right price. So this is something what is great and what enables me to go through the change of this display media buying. And what about the RTB? I really think that RTB is a subset of programmatic. RTB is programmatic buying, but real-time bidding, RTB, is something that goes through the RTB protocol, which is like a technical solution when there is a DSP as a buying platform and something that goes through some kind of standard protocol, which is RTB. But programmatic is more general, and I would like to mention it later on. So, we have heard many estimations for the future. There are so many graphs, trends, and surveys and researches showing us that the programmatic will conquer the world, that it will be bloody massive. And who is not there is out. And there are so many customers openly saying that they would like to benefit from these programmatic features to be able to be more efficient, to be more performance-driven, to be more branding-driven, meaning being able to target the right customers with the right message. So those customers are there. So the question is, are you there too? Are you there on the way to this 80% of the budget? So tell me frankly, who thinks that 5 years from now, so it's 2020, at your respective markets, the vast majority, let's say over 60%, of the advertising spend would go through programmatic? Who really thinks that? Raise your hands. There are certain reservations I'm seeing. Thank you for your votes. So there are some people that really don't believe that. And my task is here to convince you that this is a really good target for you, and this is a really good way to go, because if not, you would probably lose the opportunity. So, to me, programmatic evolution, to me, this change that I'm talking about is not so about if, it's about when and how. Talking about when, I really think that this curve, this ramp up is there, and though we see like that in RTB or in programmatic, we have like 15% or 10% of the media budgets, then I really believe that in 2020, in Czech Republic, this will be much more than 50%. And I'm able to bet on it with anybody with you. So why this is so compelling? What's the secret of the programmatic? Why this is so nice, so attractive for those advertisers and agencies that really believe that this is a key for their success? So I think there are two simple words: efficiency and performance. In terms of efficiency, there are so many researches, and I think also some of you who has already had the experience with programmatic buying, and I think a lot of you already had, though you think you don't, you can see that there is up to 33% decrease in process time, that you can able to really scale your efforts and scale your media buying workflow and to reach more with the less time spent. And in terms of performance, really, when you are able to target the right person in the right time with the right message, and not to spread and not to carpet bomb all others, who would not say that this is not more effective? Absolutely, this is. So let's dive into this efficiency. There is a recent BCG study. It's a very complicated chart, sorry, but you don't have to read it, trust me. There is a recent BCG study showing the workflow of a typical media buying process in a developed media agency. And there are so many points that are so ineffective, that are in literal pain points. Something has to wait for something has to be approved, something has to be communicated, something has to be tested. So there are so many things that are ineffective. And what's even worse, those pain points, which the BCG study also shows, is something that is non-value creating service, which is something where the advertisers usually don't want to pay agencies for this. And if the agency is crying in front of the customer and says, I have to do this, I have to do that, it costs me so much time, I want to do this, and the customer says, you're just wasting your time with this, I don't see any additional value from you. So that's why they want to pay for this. So this recent massive BCG study shows that being able to manage your display advertising through a unified platform, through this ecosystem where you can really able to control the universe, as I told, really gives you 1/3 of an additional efficiency. So you can really decrease the time spent up to 2/3 of the original time that has to be spent. So, if you trust me that this is the future, and there are so many things to expect, and so many things that can be really attractive, then there are 5 key drivers that you would have to master. And those are the things that you would have to think of really focusing first when going to this programmatic future. This is people, having the right people, having the right inventory sources, having the right data and being able to control them and understand them, having the right creatives, and having the right technology stack. I intentionally mentioned the platform at the end because I think there are so many beautiful platforms. Google is having one of them. But without having the right people, without understanding the data, without being able to have the right creatives, you won't be successful with any platform. So let me dig deeper to those key drivers that would lead you to the programmatic success in the future. So people. There was a great question earlier this day, whether this programmatic movement doesn't kill the creativity because it's just about machines, right? And I really think that the programmatic is heavily dependent on creative people. Why do I think so? Because it somehow combines the skills that are very technical, that are data-driven, that are tech-savvy, that are really like being in those tech platforms and so on, with a creative mind that is necessary. Because, as it was said before, if you target the right audience with the right platform, but with a shit communication, with a poor banner or poor display, you won't succeed. So being able to really tailor the experience and use the creative the best way you could and combine it with those data skills and technical skills, that's something you would need. And there are many of you who are typical SCM agency. I had one. I don't remember what kind of people were working for me. And those were typical PPC specialists. PPC specialists normally are tech-savvy, normally are data-driven, but they are not so much creative. They just write simple ads, text ads. And I think one of the key challenges for you coming from that SCM part of the world is really combine these skills with this creative display mindset that is absolutely crucial. And those of you who are coming to this ecosystem from the traditional media buying, where this is all about big visions and big creatives and rich media and whatever, you would probably face the fact that your people are not tech savvy, your people are not very analytical and data driven. And this combination is crucial. So go and hire those people. This will be the most paid people and most valuable people in the very near future. Inventory, scalable inventory. Being able to target your communication, to target your ads across any available inventory that is, somewhere there, connected through the platform, is crucial. But it's not so much a differentiator factor across the platforms. There are so many platforms that can reach, I would say, almost the same inventory. So many ad exchanges, Facebook, Twitter, and all those other inventory sources that you probably know. All those, media houses and so on. So this is something where you have to be sure that you have everything available and you can choose and target your ads across the whole inventory landscape. But what I would like to emphasize, and it might work as a differentiator and as a differentiator for your future success, This is the ability to reach your audience across screens and formats. So there are platforms and programmatic solutions that are pretty nice working in a desktop world, but they are poor in mobile. Or they are pretty nice in a display, typical display advertising, but they are very poor in video advertising. So it's very crucial to be aware that your platform, your strategy, your ecosystem that you work in is able to is enabling you to reach the right audience across the screens and formats, and in a brand-safe environment. Google is always emphasizing audience buying. Audience buying is great. You can reach the right audience. But I would say that being able to reach this audience in the right place, in the right context, at the right placement, in a brand-safe environment is also crucial. So your ability to control that your ad where you promote your airlines, for example, is not shown at the page where there is an article describing the Germanwings crash is crucial. If you are not able to control this brand-safe environment, you are probably missing many opportunities, and you're probably threatening your own brand or threatening the brand of your advertiser. And what is also important to mention when I talk about the inventory is that this is not just about an open auction. There are so many platforms that enables you to run your campaigns in an open RTB, in an open auctions across many ad exchanges. But this is something that is nice. But I'm hearing agencies and they are saying, I don't want to compete with those, freelancers somewhere from the kitchen. I want to have something special for me, something like a unique for me as an agency. And there are so many things that are available, and that you have to fight for, and that you have to look. This is a programmatic direct. Programmatic direct is something which is a closed auction just for several participants, that you can use all the attractivity of the ecosystem, but you can just agree with the publisher that he will invite you to certain inventory for certain conditions, and you would be able to run your campaigns there, to bid on the impressions, but not with everybody. So this is called programmatic direct. And there are also programmatic reservations. And this is very important because programmatic is not only based on auctions. So programmatic reservations can be like a negotiation with the publisher when you say, okay, so you are offering your impressions to the RTB ecosystem, great. I want to buy them. I want to buy some of them, but I don't want to run an auction. I just want to agree with you on a certain CPM. And this would be just for me as an agency because I have the trading power. And this is something also that works, and you have to bear in mind that this is also the future of programmatic. So not only the open auction for everybody. The third driver, data. One of the most important things that will really, make you successful or not. Really understanding where the data come from, how to use the data, how to take care of data, how to enlarge your data sets, how to really, take care of them. Those data will enable you to target the right audience with the right message. To target the right audience and not just, anonymous dummies, but really target this guy that is mid-age because he has his dog, he is a mobile and is a music lover. So those signals that will enable you to understand that you're targeting such a guy with some tailored experience, with some tailored message. And this is crucial to know, and you can't do it without data. And where do the data come from? How to take care of them? And it's also very critical that you understand that there are first-party data and third-party data. First-party data are, I would say, I tended to say this is your data, but no, this data of your advertisers. Okay? So these are the data of your advertisers. And this is something like usually user behavior on website. This might be analytics data. This might be CRM data, if somebody is a customer or has some credit scoring or not. And of course, campaign data. So people usually think that first-party data is remarketing, and remarketing is just an abandoned purchase cards, which is not true. First-party data is everything you can create on your advertiser's assets. So if this is CRM, or this is his Google Analytics, or this is his tax pixels that are spread across his website. So this is something where I have a strong belief, and I'm very glad that Google has the same belief. This is something that really belongs to your advertiser. This is something unique for him, and nobody is able to misuse this for the purpose of other advertisers. But there are third-party data as well. Third-party data are data usually provided by other vendors. By vendors that are collecting the data, I would say ideally the right way, the legal way, and they sell it or they provide it for free. And Google is one of those vendors. Actually, Google is providing you with those data, and you probably know them from Google AdWords. These are those affinity segments. These are those in-market segments, like a behavioral targeting as well. So usually this is a socio-demographic signals, geographic signals, the ability to know that the particular impressions is seen by somebody that is from Prague or that is from Kiev. Behavior signals, interests, and intents. As for the behavior, behavioral targeting is very sexy. And I have to say that what has done Google so great is that Google understood that there is a huge difference between long-term interests, like I'm a music fan or pet fan or horse fan, and short-term like intents, usually like a commercial intents, which may differ a lot. So be aware when you talk to some vendor that is giving you some behavioral data, whether you are able to distinguish between those long-term affinities, long-term interests, and those short-term purchasing signals in market segments, as we call it, because those are very, very important to distinguish. The ad. That's where the creativity come in. And there are recent studies that are showing that 60% of customers don't remember the last ad they saw. You can easily test it with the ad recall in video advertising and YouTube, thanks to brand lifts. But you know, what makes the ad the perfect ad, the remarkable ad, the ad that can be remembered? So this is also, of course, recognizable brand. The ad should be nice, aesthetical. It should be interactive, so that the user can interact with this. The video is great because it's usually something that is moving and really attracts my attention. And of course, ad size is something also that matters. Not usually the bigger the better, but there are certain sizes that works better. But how to really master your creativity in terms of the right ad? So I think unsurprisingly, this would be make it personal, make it tailor-made for the respective impression, for the respective people that are seeing those ads. Be dynamic, logic-based, creative, so really like a dynamic. Those are ads that are built ideally in HTML5. Flash is dead, I tell you. So HTML5, which enables you to run your ads across screens and across devices. So you would like to make sure that also the people on the mobile will be able to see your ad and your message. And of course, the ad that has gone through massive test and learn. So the ability to really not only create a set of creatives and have them like for ages and use them again and again, but really, really be able to test them and use something that works and refuse something that really doesn't work. Platform. So that's the last thing I wanted to mention. So there are many platforms for programmatic, many platforms for RTB, and some of them are, good, some of them are bad, some of them are famous, some of them are not, and some of them are very close to each other, some of them are very different. And when I talk to customers, and I remember also from my agency times, when I talk to customers about choosing the right platform, the right technology, what to expect, what critical features to really, require from those platforms, I came to those 5 points that I would like to comment on. First, being able to see what's inside. Like inside, to be able to see insights. And so the transparency and insights are the most powerful features of every good platform, because this is something that gives you a feedback, that gives you the answer, what works well, what doesn't work well, what needs more of your attention, what you can just neglect, where to put more of your money, what audience working well, what inventory source works well, what doesn't work well. So the ability to see what's inside is crucial. And that's why I really don't recommend to really focus on those black boxes that are across the markets. They're usually called RTB hybrids or RTB retargeters or whatever, because those tools are great. They're very sexy, very famous, very popular. You probably know a lot of them. I won't name them. But they won't let you see what's inside. They won't let you leverage what's working well and neglect what's not working well. So the second feature, I would recommend you to require always, is the ability to have control over outcome. So really the ability to see where the real performance is. What's wrong with those always black boxes is that they charge you some money, some reward, if it's a CPC or CPA, but you don't see how it really works. You don't see what the margin is, and you don't see why they, to hell, bought this particular impression for this particular price, which was shown to this particular audience. You see nothing. Then, actually there are 4. I mentioned there are 5, but there are 4. Okay, we should stay with 4. The third killer feature is a whole funnel approach. As David beautifully mentioned before me, every customer deserves a branding strategy. Every customer needs a whole funnel approach. Every customer needs to have a strategy for its awareness, consideration, purchase, loyalty phase, or if you prefer Avinash Kaushik framework, for a see, think, do, and care stage. Every customer deserves and needs the communication and a solid strategy for any of these stages. So look for the platform that really enables you to accompany you and accompany your customer across the whole funnel. Some of those most famous RTB platforms or programmatic platforms are just focusing on a purchase. It's nice, it works for e-commerce customers, great, but you don't control any branding effects on this. You don't control any branding metrics that might be available to you. So please, I really recommend you to look for a platform that is really able to manage your campaigns and your advertising strategy across the whole funnel. And data safety. As I said, first-party data belongs to your customer, no one else. So if the platform is misusing those data for enriching their audiences, somehow creating second-party data from first-party data, saying that these are no longer the first-party data and so on, this might be very dangerous. But, you know, I'm speaking to agencies right now, and having all of those features passed and all of those features available in your platform is enabling you to have an additional value for your customer. When you are engaging black boxes to your customers, if you're introducing black boxes to your customers, you are literally getting rid of your additional value. You're getting rid of the work that you should do by yourself to really control the performance, to really control all the features that are inside, to be able to learn from the insights. This is something where you get rid of the additional value. And I'm here at the Google event, and I'd like to talk a bit about programmatic with Google. So how Google really can help you and what platforms can offer to you when it comes to programmatic. And you would be probably surprised that we just don't have DoubleClick. Well, I have a strong belief that GDN is a really great programmatic platform. It is not an RTB platform. I won't call it RTB because how I understand RTB, as I said, is something that works on an RTB protocol that is somehow standardized through the RTB protocol, which Google Display Network is not. So those platforms are great. They have a lot of things in common and a lot of things really different, and I will mention it later on. So when it comes to Google Display Network, and to put the long story short, well, it is a proprietary buying tool, which is buying media on proprietary Google inventory, display inventory or video inventory, with a robust communication protocol, which is much different from the typical RTB. So I have to tell you, from my experience, not only from Google, but also from agencies, that, you know, if you focus just on pure play performance, and if you manage to handle your GDN campaigns well, so you've done everything you wanted, the RTB won't work better. Because the GDN has such a strong communication, machine learning protocol, and machine learning connection between the buying engine and the inventory, where the RTB is not so strong as a protocol. But we, of course, do have a DoubleClick Bid Manager that is part of the DoubleClick suite. And I won't describe the DoubleClick suite as itself, but the DoubleClick Bid Manager is a great DSP platform, so platform that really buys through the RTB protocol, through the RTB ecosystem in RTB inventory. And what is different? And I would like to target your attention to this table, which might be very interesting for you. So I don't know whether you see everything that is here, but there are certain differences that might be usable for you. So when it comes to inventory, GDN has just Google Ad Exchange inventory, but only in open auction. And it has text ads, you're probably aware. DoubleClick Bid Manager is having Google Ad Exchange inventory, it has Facebook, and all the other ad exchanges, so more massive source of inventory, and both open and private auctions, and those preferred deals, so programmatic reservations. So when it comes to inventory, through the DoubleClick, you can target much broader audience. When it comes to targeting, you probably know that you can have textual placements, remarketing, and so on. But there is something which is exceptional for GDN, which is the display select keywords. I don't know how massive you use this option, which is pretty unique for GDN. But for DoubleClick Bid Manager, you can use third-party vendor data. In GDN, you can use just Google data, which are great, in fact. As for data, you can have all those Google data, but in DoubleClick, you can use other vendors' data. When it comes to creatives, in GDN, you can use text creatives, which you are not able to use through the DoubleClick. When it comes to dynamic creatives, which are great, as I told you, dynamic creatives, DoubleClick is much broader, so advanced dynamic remarketing campaigns with tailored experience. But when it comes to pricing, and this is really important, in GDM you can have CPC pricing, which in DoubleClick you cannot. In DoubleClick you can have only CPM or CPV, cost per view, when you target TrueView ads on YouTube. But in in Google Display Network you have much broader options. And as for auto bidding, those bidding strategies, it's very similar. But as I told you, GDN has much broader communication machine learning protocols. So, where to start? What are the 3 out of those five key drivers? So those are the people. Having really the right people, go and find them because someone else will before you. Really understanding the data, how they work, how to take care of them, and really finding the right technology. And Google here is able to offer you 2 platforms, and I'm pretty sure that for many of your customers, GDN will be much better solution than DoubleClick, but there, of course, many of customers, for those, DoubleClick would be much broader and having much more opportunities.